Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling drained, not because you lost an argument, but because you realized the other person was never seeking truth in the first place? You spoke with clarity, but they clung to illusions. You offered reason, but they answered with deflection, pride, or noise. In a world where confidence often drowns out wisdom, how do you protect your mind from being pulled into confusion? Today, we'll explore how to rise above the games of fools, not through debate, but through inner discipline. You'll learn how to guard your clarity, respond with precision, and recognize when silence is the wisest reply. And by the end, you'll uncover a powerful Stoic insight, one that will reshape how you deal with ignorance, arguments, and your own peace of mind. Take a breath. Stay with me. This may change how you speak, think, and walk through the world. 1. Recognizing what makes a fool. To truly outsmart a fool, we must begin by understanding what makes someone foolish. Not in the sense of lacking intelligence, but in the refusal to evolve. A fool, through the lens of Stoicism, is not someone with little knowledge, but someone imprisoned by certainty. They cling to their opinions like a drowning man clings to a piece of driftwood, unable to let go, unwilling to swim to deeper truth. They do not question their beliefs, because to do so would be to admit they were never built on solid ground. And as Socrates, a spiritual father to the Stoics, once said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." The fool, in contrast, lives in the illusion that he knows everything already. He is not humble before the vastness of life. He is intoxicated by his own noise. You will know them by their habits. They speak in absolutes. They reduce complex matters to slogans. They reject any insight that doesn't echo their own voice. Often, they are not quiet in their ignorance. They are bold, persuasive, even charming. But charm without humility is deception, and boldness without reflection is not strength. It is stubbornness, dressed in armor. Now here is where most people fall into the trap. They argue with fools, as if logic could awaken someone who refuses to open their eyes. But to argue with a fool on his own terms is to enter his arena. It is to fight a battle where no one wins. As the saying goes, never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it. The more emotionally invested you become, the more ground you surrender. Because fools thrive not on truth, but on disturbance. So, how should the Stoic respond? With composure, with quiet clarity, with the unshakable stillness of someone who knows where their peace lies. Marcus Aurelius warned against letting others disturb your tranquility. He knew that foolishness is not just a character flaw, but a contagious energy. The wise man, then, must protect his mind as he would guard a sacred flame. Instead of arguing, ask calm and incisive questions. Ask them to explain, not to confront, but to reveal. Because often, when a fool is asked to walk through the steps of their reasoning, they stumble. The weight of their contradiction becomes visible, not through your rebuttal, but through their own unraveling. This is the Stoic's quiet power. He does not shout to be heard. He does not fight to feel strong. He simply sees clearly, speaks carefully, and walks away when the path is no longer worthy of his steps. To outsmart a fool, you don't need to win a debate. You only need to refuse the invitation to descend. Let them speak. Let them spin. And you, stay still. Stay clear. Stay free. 2. Detach emotion. Disarm ego. Have you ever noticed that in rooms full of noise, the wisest voices are often the quietest? This isn't weakness, it's strength in restraint. The person who observes, who speaks only when the moment calls for it, who weighs every word like gold. This is someone who has mastered themselves. And in the presence of fools, this mastery becomes your shield. Because here's the challenge. What happens when logic fails? When no matter how clearly you reveal contradiction, the fool refuses to budge. This is where we must understand a deeper Stoic truth. People do not always cling to opinions because they are true, but because their pride is tied to them. When someone feels their beliefs are under siege, it's not reason they reach for, but defense. Their sense of self is bound to being right. And to threaten that, even with truth, is to provoke resistance. So what should the Stoic do? We do not attack. We plant. We do not seek to win. We seek to awaken. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," try, "Have you ever considered this?" Rather than pushing, invite. Rather than forcing truth into a closed mind, create enough space for them to look inward. You're not proving them wrong. You're allowing their own assumptions to tremble under their weight. And sometimes that small seed of doubt is more powerful than any argument. True intelligence is not found in crushing others with logic. It lies in guiding gently, in exposing illusion without hostility. And if they still refuse to see, you do not argue harder. You step back. Because here is the final liberation. You are not responsible for their clarity, only for your own. The Stoic does not waste his peace on minds that are not yet ready. He speaks when it matters and walks away when it doesn't. That is not defeat. That is self-mastery. 3. Choosing your battles wisely. There is a profound truth often overlooked in the dance with folly. Not every conflict is worthy of your effort, and not every voice deserves your reply. To the Stoic mind, intelligence is not merely the accumulation of clever arguments. It is the discipline to discern when silence is the greater wisdom. The world is full of people who do not seek understanding. They seek victory. They do not listen to learn. They listen to reply. And the moment you sense that someone is not speaking from the desire to uncover truth, but from the need to defend their pride, that is the moment you must pause and ask, is this a conversation or is this a performance? The Stoics teach us to preserve our energy, to guard our inner peace as a sacred fire. Engaging in a dispute where there is no openness, no mutual respect, no shared ground to stand on, is like shouting into the wind, loud, exhausting, and utterly fruitless. As Marcus Aurelius said, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do. Your clarity is not found in convincing the world. It is found in maintaining alignment with your values. When fools twist your words, when they mock rather than respond, when they avoid reason and deflect truth, they are not debating. They are defending the illusions they fear losing. You may recognize the tactics. They distort your points to make them easier to attack. They target your character instead of your message. They change the subject when truth draws near. This is not dialogue. It is misdirection. And if you are not vigilant, you will find yourself tangled in their web, drained of strength, and far from your original purpose. The Stoic response is not to fight harder, but to observe calmly. The goal is not to win the moment. It is to preserve the whole of your clarity. Socrates, the quiet master of philosophical confrontation, never forced truth upon those unwilling to receive it. He asked questions, not to control others, but to illuminate the shadows within their own thinking. He understood what many still do not, that wisdom cannot be poured into a closed vessel. You cannot teach what another refuses to see. You cannot open eyes that have chosen blindness. To insist, to push, to argue endlessly with such a person is like trying to teach a rock to float. You may exhaust yourself with effort, but in the end, it will sink just the same. This does not mean we give up on difficult conversations. Quite the contrary. We engage deeply with those who are sincere. We challenge ideas, not for dominance, but for growth. But we must first learn to read the soil before planting seeds. Some ground is fertile, some is stone. The wise man does not waste good seed on barren land, so the discipline lies in the discernment. Before you engage, ask yourself, is this person seeking understanding or simply protecting their image? Are they defending truth or defending ego? The answer will determine whether your words take root or fall on deaf ears. And once you recognize the signs of closed minds and hardened pride, do not waste your light trying to illuminate them. Preserve your energy. Walk away with dignity, not in anger, but in wisdom. Remember, true strength is not proven through argument. It is revealed in restraint. The warrior who picks every fight is a fool. The sage who walks away from the wrong ones is unshakable. In a world full of noise and provocation, clarity belongs to those who know when to speak and when to remain silent. 4. Reflect, don't react. One of the most effective and elegant tools in the arsenal of the Stoic mind is not to overpower ignorance, but to reflect it. The mirror technique, employed by wise philosophers and masterful orators alike, is not about confrontation. It is about clarity. Instead of challenging flawed thinking head-on, you become the mirror in which the other must see the contradiction of their own beliefs. And when done with precision and calm, this technique does not just reveal their errors, it forces them to confront themselves without a single drop of your ego involved. Consider a person who proclaims boldly, "I know I'm right, and nothing you say will change my mind." The common reaction might be to respond with equal force. But that is what the fool desires, a duel of pride, not an exchange of understanding. The Stoic, however, responds with calm reflection. So, you believe that being open to new understanding is unnecessary? In that moment, you're not debating. You're holding up a quiet mirror to their rigidity. You're asking, not accusing, if they see the walls they've built around their own thinking. Or take another common phrase, everything I believe is based on facts. A direct rebuttal would be futile. The wiser path? Ask, if someone presented facts that contradicted what you believe, would you be willing to consider them? That question does not provoke. It invites. It does not force. It reveals. And in that moment, if there is any sliver of honesty within them, a seed of doubt may be planted, not in you, but in the illusion they've clung to so tightly. The reason this approach works is not psychological manipulation, it is a principle of Stoic dialogue. It shifts the burden of proof back to where it belongs. You are not trying to win, you are allowing them to realize they may already be losing to their own assumptions. And more importantly, you remain composed, unshaken by their tone, unaffected by their pride. You remain in control not just of the conversation, but of yourself. This is the art of redirection. The mirror technique is not about making them admit they are wrong. It is about allowing their own words to strip away the illusion of certainty. Many will resist. Some will deflect. But a few, just a few, will pause. And that pause is where transformation begins. The Stoics teach that the wise do not need to shout to be heard. They do not need to win the argument to walk away with strength. What they do instead is this. They hold fast to their clarity, they remain sovereign over their own minds, and they let truth speak through simplicity. So the next time you find yourself facing someone stubborn, hostile, or blinded by their own self-image, do not fight them with facts. Do not feed the fire. Simply hold up the mirror. Ask gently, reflect calmly, and then let the silence do the work. The mind that cannot reflect will never grow, but the one that is even slightly shaken by its own contradiction may just begin to awaken. And that, for the Stoic, is enough. 5. Guard your mind in a noisy world. What if the fool you're dealing with isn't just one person, but an entire culture? What if you're not simply facing a flawed individual, but a storm of distorted voices, shallow opinions, and hollow certainties echoing through the modern world? This is the reality we now live in. A world where misinformation moves faster than wisdom, where confidence is mistaken for truth, and where volume is confused with value. In such a world, clarity is no longer common. It is rare, it is precious, and it must be protected with the same vigilance as a Stoic guards their peace. The digital age has given every voice a megaphone, but many who speak loudest speak with the least depth. Platforms reward outrage, not understanding. Conviction has replaced contemplation. People follow influencers not because they are wise, but because they speak with unwavering certainty, even when they are fundamentally lost. The danger is subtle yet profound. When we are exposed to falsehoods long enough, even the wisest among us begin to doubt what they once knew. The Stoics warned us long ago, repetition breeds familiarity, and familiarity often masquerades as truth. So, how do you protect your mind in such a world? The answer is not more noise, it is deeper stillness. Intellectual self-defense begins where all Stoic strength begins, with awareness and discipline. First, question everything, especially what you believe most deeply. The moment you assume you are immune to error, you have already become vulnerable. The truly wise are never done testing their conclusions. Like Marcus Aurelius, they journal not to proclaim, but to examine again and again. Second, seek perspective. A fool clings to one viewpoint and defends it like a fortress, but a wise mind moves with grace through multiple angles, testing ideas as a blacksmith tests steel, with fire, pressure, and patience. The more varied your sources of insight, the less likely you are to fall into the trap of echo chambers that only feed your preconceptions. Third, beware of emotional disturbance. Misinformation often does not come dressed as lies. It comes dressed in feelings, fear, outrage, belonging. These emotions bypass reason and stir the crowd. But the Stoic trains himself to pause before reacting. When you feel an emotional surge from something you've heard or read, step back and ask, is this meant to inform or to control? Let that question become your shield. And above all, develop the discipline of clarity. In a world that thrives on confusion, clear thought is an act of rebellion. Clarity is not about being the smartest. It is about seeing things as they are, not as they are shouted to be. It is about separating what you can control, your mind, your responses, your values, from what you cannot, the noise, the fools, the chaos. Epictetus reminded us, you become what you give your attention to. So give your attention not to frenzy, but to focus, not to noise, but to truth. In this age of clever illusion and viral ignorance, the Stoic path is not just noble, it is necessary. Train your mind, protect your clarity, and walk through the world not as someone easily swayed, but as someone firmly anchored in reason, discipline, and peace. That is how you rise above the fog. That is how you stay free. 6. Refuse to play the fool's game. Here is the final and most liberating truth. The most powerful way to outsmart a fool is to stop playing their game, all together. Fools thrive not on insight, but on reaction. They draw strength from your frustration, pulling you into their chaos, not to find clarity, but to entangle you in the same disorder they inhabit. And the moment you step into that arena, when you feel the urge to correct, to prove, to win, you've already abandoned the very stillness that sets you apart. But the wise do something different. They rise, not through pride, but through self-mastery. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. That is the nature of the fool, closed, convinced, immovable. And that is the difference with the wise. The Stoic does not seek victory through volume. He seeks understanding through restraint. True wisdom is not about being right. It's about knowing when to walk away, when to speak with purpose, and when to remain still." So how do you live this out? Begin with 3 Stoic principles. First, detach from the need to be right. The fool argues to feed his pride. The wise speak only when it serves truth. If you find yourself explaining just to satisfy your ego, pause. Ask yourself, am I here to bring clarity, or am I defending my image? Because once the ego takes the lead, you've already stepped into the fool's domain. Second, master the strength of silence. The clearest minds often speak the least. They listen, they observe, and when they do speak, their words carry weight. Silence is not surrender, it's signal. Let the fool speak. Let his contradictions reveal themselves. You do not need to correct every error. You only need to preserve your presence. Third, become an immovable force of clarity. In a world full of noise, clarity is power. A fool will try to rattle you with distortion and provocation, but the Stoic remains anchored. He does not respond to every impulse. He does not fight every battle. He discerns. He chooses. He knows that not every conversation is worth entering, and not every opponent is worth awakening. And now, the deepest Stoic realization. It is not your duty to fix them. Many intelligent minds fall into this trap. They believe that if they explain thoroughly enough, the other person will finally understand. But a mind that refuses to see cannot be forced open. A soul must be ready for truth. Until then, no amount of clarity will matter. As Marcus Aurelius understood, your task is not to change others. It is to rule yourself. So here is your Stoic strategy. Become untouchable. When ignorance speaks, observe. When foolishness provokes, stay grounded. When distortion spreads, return to truth. And when someone shows you they are beyond reason, release them. A fool can never ruin a wise man unless the wise man forgets who he is. Your mind is your most sacred ground. Guard it. Refine it. Let it be the compass that guides you, not toward every dispute, but toward a life of calm strength and thoughtful precision. Ask yourself now, will you be pulled into their noise, or will you walk above it in silence, clarity, and command? The answer, as always, lies within your control. 7. Overcoming the fool within yourself. Now that you've seen the power of clarity, the futility of wrestling with fools, and the quiet strength of detachment, it's time for the most important lesson of all, one that does not point outward, but inward. Because the most dangerous fool you will ever encounter is not the one who argues loudly in public. It is the one who quietly lives inside your own mind. Yes, we all carry him. Even the most disciplined, even the most intelligent. The fool within is the voice that clings to certainty, that resists correction, that confuses pride for strength and stubbornness for conviction. You may avoid conflict with others, you may walk away from noise and distortion, but if you don't confront the errors within yourself, you've only won half the battle. So how do you outsmart the fool within? First, question yourself before you question others. It's easy to spot flawed reasoning in someone else, but true wisdom lies in turning that same scrutiny inward. Ask yourself, what if I am wrong? What am I not seeing? What belief am I holding too tightly? As Epictetus taught, it is impossible to learn what you think you already know. Self-examination is the path to growth, and the refusal to examine is the road to stagnation. Second, welcome the sharp edge of being wrong. The fool resists correction, the wise embrace it. To be wrong is not to be weak. It is to be alive, evolving, and open to refinement. The moment you realize a belief no longer serves you, do not defend it. Release it. Replace it with something stronger. The wise do not protect ignorance. They outgrow it. Third, walk with humility. The greatest thinkers were not those who claimed to know everything. They were the ones who knew how much they still didn't understand. Certainty can be a comfort, but humility is a compass. Stay curious. Stay teachable. Keep sharpening your reason like a blade. And here lies the final Stoic insight. True intelligence is not about winning arguments. It is about mastering yourself. You cannot control other minds, but you can rule your own. And when you reach this level of inner clarity, the noise of the world no longer disturbs you. The opinions of fools fade into irrelevance, and your path becomes not one of reaction, but of calm, deliberate purpose. That is how you rise, not above others, but above confusion itself. Take a moment now, not to react, but to reflect. What you've learned today isn't just about dealing with others. It's about mastering yourself. The fool outside can be ignored, but the fool within, that's who you must outgrow. Wisdom doesn't shout, it doesn't prove. It simply sees clearly and moves with purpose. Ask yourself, where in my life am I still wasting energy on noise? And more importantly, what would happen if I stopped? You don't need to win every argument. You need to protect your clarity, your time, your peace. If this message spoke to you, consider subscribing, not out of urgency, but as a quiet commitment to growth. And if you're ready to shift how you deal with conflict, type clarity over chaos in the comments. You've taken a step most never do, choosing awareness over reaction. Stay on this path. It leads somewhere powerful.